With Homer Smith. I'm your host and moderator, Ryan Ruff. It's great to have you with us. And we've got Homer, obviously the star of our show. He'll be joining me momentarily. But look, first and foremost, as always, want to take a moment and thank you guys for joining us here for another conversation, whether that be, on a podcasting platform or video platform after the fact, or if you are joining us, you're coming in now here on the Facebook live stream. We do appreciate you. If you are live with us, we encourage you to leave us a question or a comment, and Homer and I can always carve out some time towards the end of the show to acknowledge any of those questions or comments and get them answered for you. So feel free to chime in at any point. But hey, that being said, as you know, this show, we go through a different wealth management related topic each time Homer and I get together. And today, pretty apropos topic, especially as we're getting ready to roll into the new year here. Topic surrounding today's conversation is really just finding the right wealth manager for you. You've heard Homer and I say, and speak to this at length about, a wealth manager and your wealth plan really need to be custom tailored to you. The various intricacies of your life, those goals and aspirations that you hope for, everything surrounding that wealth plan should be custom tailored towards you. So today we're talking about finding the right wealth manager for you. And luckily we've got Homer to steer the ship here on that conversation today. So let's go ahead and bring him on. Homer, good to see you. Welcome aboard.
Hey, Ryan. How are you doing?
I'm good. Can't complain. We're getting ready to close out the year here. We've got Christmas coming up soon. But no, it's been a busy time probably for so many people. And I like the conversation today because it's kind of a nice reset button on the question and the topics that we have surrounding wealth management. It all starts with your wealth manager, right? It's finding the right one for you. So Homer, to get into our conversation today, let's start by just talking about the key challenges that a lot of people have. And what it seems like it's two of them. It's how to evaluate the experience of a given wealth manager before somebody begins working with them. So really sizing them up. And then the other challenge that seems to pop up for many people is this idea of determining whether or not the advice that you're getting and the solutions you're getting are ones that you truly need. So Homer, talk to us about these challenges. What are you seeing on this front?
Yeah, those, obviously important concerns to address. And the way I look at it is for you to optimize your financial world, to really make sure everything is really working together as effectively as it possibly can. Choosing the right wealth manager is going to be one of the most important, really, if not the most important decision you can make to help make sure that you're going to be on track for doing that. There's just so many things going on from tax planning, estate planning, asset protection, investments. Our world is constantly changing. So really having that person that you trust that can help you navigate all of that, quiet the noise, help you focus on what's most important to you is going to be critical. And then, right on top of that is some of those other things that Ryan mentioned, some of the opportunities that you might be missing or some of the gaps in your current plan that might be sitting there if you're not working with the right wealth manager that can really address that from a holistic standpoint.
So, Homer, going back to some of these issues that sometimes can arise when somebody might not be working with the right wealth manager for them, could you maybe give us an example of an issue that goes often unnoticed at times?
Absolutely. There's a couple issues. Well, there's many issues, but I'd say the two most common that we see in almost every situation are things first and foremost around estate planning. And unfortunately, it's too late for you. Oftentimes by the time that there's an issue, because it's really your heirs that are going to be dealing with the fallout of any gaps that were being missed within your estate plan. And also on the asset protection side, it's kind of the same thing. You often don't know until it's too late, and until that lawsuit's filed and until you're in court, you don't necessarily know whether you've got an adequate asset protection plan in place. And so those are often areas that we see that just aren't really addressed by most wealth managers.
Roger that. And Homer, we talk about issues that pop up, different strategies that are, can be offered to help bolster somebody's current plan. But I feel like a big part of this conversation lies within the actual characteristics of the wealth managers that we choose to work with, right? So what would you say then are maybe some of the key traits that an elite wealth manager would carry that somebody should be on the lookout for?
For those looking for what I would say a truly high caliber wealth manager, there's a few areas that you want to make sure are really addressed. The first area is going to be integrity, and I think that's first and foremost. It's what's their level of honesty, and what's their moral principles that they live by and manage their business by. I think another hugely important one, obviously, to hit these very complex goals that you have is going to be integrity, or excuse me, competence. So do they actually have the ability to do a great job for you? And do they have the experience of working with clients like you, is the third one. So experience, not only in length of service, how long have they been doing this, but really, do they have the ability to develop deep relationships with you and the other people in your life? So it's really those three things that I would say are the most important.
Got it, Homer. So really to recap those three: integrity, competence, and then of course experience being that third and final one. Let's break each one down because I feel like it's worth unpacking each one of them. The first you mentioned was integrity. What, let's use me as an example. What would I look for, Homer, that would tell me that the current wealth manager that I'm sizing up, has the adequate level of integrity?
Yeah, integrity has to be top on the list when sizing up wealth managers. If you think about, I mean, we're dealing with your life savings, your business, and all of the important people in your life. And so making sure that somebody is extremely honest and has that highest level of integrity is going to be the most important factor. So some of the things that you can think about, or some of the questions that you might be able to ask and dive into are, has your wealth manager run afoul with regulators, and if so, why? Have they had lawsuits with clients before? And same thing, if so, why? Do they have the ability to provide powerful references, not just clients, but other professionals that they work with that can provide you some confidence that this person operates with an extremely high level of integrity? And so I think there's some other areas to think about as well, questions that may not seem as common, but I think are just as important is, as a wealth manager, why would you ever fire a client? What would be the circumstances that would lead you to not wanting to work with an existing client? And, I think there's times where clients would prefer to go into the deep gray area and maybe suggest solutions and strategies maybe that have come from other professionals that start crossing ethical lines and maybe even start crossing legal lines. And as an advisor, are you willing to let those clients go when they put you in that position? And then I think another one is, what are you willing to not do? Or what will you not do? And I think this really is very similar to the other one, but where are those lines that you're not willing to cross as an advisor on things that you're doing within your business, or recommendations that you're making that ultimately could cost money and lead to our clients not achieving their goals, because that strategy ultimately was found not to be legal and unwound a whole amount of mess on a client that could prevent them from achieving their goals. So those are all of the things I think that wrap around integrity. So that honesty and really, where do they draw the line as an advisor?
Yeah, a lot of good questions there just for somebody to consider when sizing up the integrity of a given wealth manager. And Homer, one thing that you and I have really hit hard on this show is that human element, right? Within the conversations that a wealth manager brings to the table with their clients. They want to really get to know their goals, their values on a deep level. But that second, key characteristic that you mentioned was competence. So while yes, the human element, it plays a big role, obviously we want to be working with wealth managers that are highly skilled professionals. Talk to me a little bit about this importance of, yes, they can be empathetic, they can be caring, but competence, boy, is that a big one as well.
Right. So, most of the clients that we work with are dealing with pretty complex situations. And so, having somebody that's got the technical expertise to deal with, whether it's investment management, but all of those other areas that we mentioned before: tax planning, estate planning, asset protection, charitable giving, and all of having the technical expertise and the team around them that can really deliver that level of technical expertise and competence is important. But to your point, competence doesn't end there. You have to really be able to bring strong relationships to the table as well, and be able to deliver on those strategies and that you're putting in front of a client. So just the combination of both of those, the ability to bring that technical expertise and strong relationships, is really what competence is all about to me.
So, in getting a little deeper into this realm of competence, Homer, could you take us through maybe how somebody should evaluate a given advisor's like level of technical competence? Like, how would you go about doing that?
Yeah, it's one of those things that's intangible initially until you hire
Yeah.
your advisor and really dive into your plan. It's hard to confirm it, right? But there's some basic things. Obviously, what's their educational background? Do they have any specialized licenses, designations? I have a bunch of letters after my name. I do think those are really important. I think they show a level of commitment by an advisor. They're not the only thing, though. I think there's a lot of other things. How involved are you in the industry? What are you doing to continue to develop your skills and knowledge in those critical, really complex areas? Have you been involved in any publications? Are you writing and showing your knowledge out there to the world? And really, I think another big one is are you recognized by other professional peers? And whether that's a CPA or an attorney, do they recognize you as one of the top professionals in their area? And that's really, to me, a lot of our clients come from referrals, introductions from other professionals, which, to me is a key indicator there that, that's really showcasing from that other professional's angle that, hey, this advisor really has that technical expertise, that competence that you're looking for in that. So I think that's really a critical part. I think as you dive deeper into that, so no one person can be the end all be all knowledge source for every client.
Right.
There's just too much going on in a complex client's world. So it's not just your primary wealth manager, but what's their team look like? Who else does he or
Mhm.
she have on their team? What are their very specific experts do they bring in, and what are their credentials? And do they
Mhm.
do they have a wide breadth of knowledge and expertise on all the areas that we address, and not just have kind of a one size fits all solution across the board? So I think those are really critical. And then at the end of the day, though, and this is why I think having that team approach and looking at the big picture is important. It's really that holistic approach and looking at things from many different angles and being able to look at it from a big picture. And oftentimes there could be highly technical experts, but their focus is on one solution. And so oftentimes, everything looks like a nail to them and they're the hammer. And so while that solution might fit in that particular situation, it may not be the very best because they didn't look at it from all of those other angles. So it's really
Right.
being able to bring that entire holistic, comprehensive view to the picture is really what I think is kind of the last component of that needs to be there.
Sure. I'm so glad you brought that up. Just that idea of the team, looking at the wealth managers team. And that kind of segues me back into my question of, and what you had kind of alluded to earlier is that idea and that power and ability for a wealth manager to build strong relationships. Talk to me now that you've set the scene for the importance of having that team. Boy, does it ever now show its head and being so important to have a wealth manager that builds those strong relationships. Talk to me about your experience with building some strong relationships, developing that team. How important is that to you guys at Convergent Wealth?
Well, it's really important, and really it's two sides of developing those relationships. The first part is that relationship with you as the client, and that human element you mentioned earlier. So our role is to get to know everything and everyone that's important to you, and everything and everyone that would be impacted by your financial decisions. And only by getting to know you at that level are we able to really present solutions that we know are right for you. And the really critical part to that is actually get you to implement them. And so if we can develop that relationship and trust with our clients, we actually can pull them across the finish line. And it's actually something we've been talking a lot about with our team lately, that our clients are dealing with a lot. They're successful, really busy entrepreneurs, business owners. And one of the main reasons that they're bringing us in is they know that they are having gaps and opportunities they're missing, and they need the right team that can pull them across the finish line and actually get things done. So that's a really critical part with the client themselves, that relationship. But then it's also with the entire team of professionals around them. And so because we deal in so many areas for the client, tax, legal, asset protection, we also deal with all of their other professionals. And it's really important that we can collaborate well and work well together in order to bring the very best solutions to the table. And same thing, actually get clients to take action to do what's in their best interest. And by really bringing that team approach and building those deep relationships across the board really allows us to do that.
I love that, Homer. And let's transition here now to that third and final point and key characteristic that you mentioned, and that's experience. Obviously, you want somebody to have experience, but what I'm gathering from our conversation today is that I'm feeling like the idea of experience in your mind is a very specific type of experience that they should be bringing to the table. Talk to me about this idea of experience from your lens.
Yeah, so I mean, experience can mean a lot of different things. When I started my career, I was pretty young in the business, and one of the managers I was working with mentioned, really, there's a difference between experience and experiences, and that if you're doing something many times in a short amount of time, you might actually be better at that than somebody who hasn't done it in 5 years, even if they've been in the business for 20. And so there's this combination. Yes, somebody needs to be experienced and ideally to deal with the complex situations we deal with. You probably need to have been in this industry for a bit to do that. But really, it's that next part of that is how much experience do they have in a particular situation that you as the client actually are dealing with. So for me, it's business owner. So, how many other business owner clients do I work with? And so whatever your situation that you're dealing with, the wealth manager you're wanting to interview and discuss that with is, do they actually work with clients like you at, your particular situation that deal with the same kind of objectives, concerns, challenges that you're facing? And obviously the level of wealth matters as well. Do they deal with clients that have the same type of complexity that you're dealing with? So I think that's a really important part. So it's not just how many years, how many designations that they have, but how often are they actually working with clients just like you or in your very similar situation? And why do they like working with clients like you? What is it about your situation that they really enjoy? Is it a large percentage of their clients? Are you one of just a couple of their overall clients? How do you work? What kind of solutions do you typically deliver? I think is another important part of that. So getting a good sense for what are the typical strategies and ideas and solutions they're going to be bringing to the table. And then, as I mentioned earlier, another really important part of that is how do you work with others? Again, most of the clients that we end up getting introduced to already are working with another team of professionals, and they want to know that their wealth manager is going to be someone that can integrate seamlessly into that group and actually enhance what that overall group is doing. So again, it's not just about years, it's not just about designations, it's really about their level of expertise and ability to work with clients in the same situation that you're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Thank you. I appreciate you, kind of peeling back that curtain, talking a little bit about each of these three, because you're right, Homer. Boy, do they, these are these massive characteristics that somebody wants to see in a wealth manager when they're going through this process of sizing them up. And like we said at the very top of the show, the conversation is all about finding the right wealth manager for you. These are three characteristics that you would want to see in a wealth manager that you might one day work with. And so, Homer, I appreciate you, kind of peeling back that curtain, sharing some of this information with us. And let's say this conversation is resonating with somebody in our audience today that's, watching this, listening to this, and maybe they're interested in reaching out to you and your team at Convergent to maybe just even continue this conversation, see if maybe there's a fit between you and them. How would they best go about reaching out to you guys just to get that ball rolling?
I'd say the best way always for us is email for our initial conversation to start the ball rolling. And so Homer, Homer at convergentwealth.com is our email. Obviously, our website, convergentwealth.com is a great place to get all sorts of great information as well. All our blogs and all of information that we're discussing today is all up there as well. But send me an email. Would love to chat with you and love to see if what the way that we work with our clients would be an approach that would be good for you. And if our background, experience, competence all matches up with what you're looking for.
Homer, you've been doing this quite a while. I'm sure you've had a handful of these types of conversations, especially during some of your discovery meetings with potential new clients, just about, maybe the wealth manager that they came from and, sizing up to whether or not there is a real fit between you and the client. If you're going to leave our audience with one final thought today about that process of finding the right wealth manager for you, any final thoughts, words of wisdom to leave a client, somebody that's out there looking for the right wealth manager with?
Yeah, I mean, it can be tough. I mean, we've had a number of clients that have had long-term, long-standing relationships with their investment advisor. And, as we go through our discovery process and in our first summary of and review of their gaps and opportunities, we often find a lot of issues that haven't been presented to them before. And so it's always a tough conversation to, decide, are we going to, make a change from an existing advisor to work with you. And I think at the end of the day, you just got to ask yourself, who's going to be the one that's going to help you get to the most important goals that you have and get to that optimal financial world. And, at the end of the day, that's what's most important. And I know relationships and trust and loyalty can be really important, but at the end of the day, it's you and your family. And that's what it's really all about. And so our goal is at the end of the day, we want to become friends and develop deep relationships with our clients But to me, most importantly, before that is helping them achieve their goals. And that's who you got to work with. You got to work with the people that are going to really focus on your goals and getting you to where you want to get to.
Awesome. All right. Well, Homer, look, really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to be with us and talk about this topic of finding the right wealth manager. Wish, obviously a very happy holidays to you and your family, and looking forward to getting together for the next conversation.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ryan.
All right. Thank you, Homer. And look, hey, we want to take one final moment, of course, to thank you, our audience, for jumping on board today, whether it was on the Facebook live stream with us or after the fact on a podcasting or video platform. All the same, we appreciate you being here. And do me a favor, if you like today's show, you benefited from the conversation, comment on the show, subscribe to it, share this information with friends, family, business owners, like Homer mentioned, that may benefit from conversations like these. Because at the end of the day, these conversations are meant for you. It's meant to help advance your wealth to living that amazing life of significance that Homer and I talk about so much.